Please welcome today's Master of Ceremonies, Doug Shoup, Corporate Communications and Programs Manager, Automobile Club of Southern California.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 20th Annual Mobility 21 Summit. Wow, what an incredible milestone for our coalition. For 20 years, the Mobility 21 Transportation Coalition has convened elected officials as well as public and private sector leadership across our region. What started off with 400 participants has now grown to more than 1,000. And even in virtual times, we are making this work because transportation and mobility are so important to the quality of life and economic health of Southern California. I am so pleased to be your MC, and we have an incredible program for you today. First, we want to thank the Mobility 21 partners for all of the hard work that they do on behalf of our entire region. The Automobile Club of Southern California, Chambers of Commerce Alliance of Ventura and Santa Barbara counties, Inland Empire Economic Partnership, Los Angeles Area Chamber of Commerce, Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transportation Authority, Metrolink, Orange County Business Council, Orange County Transportation Authority, Rebuild SoCal Partnership, Riverside County Transportation Commission, San Bernardino County Transportation Authority, Southern California Association of Governments, Ventura County Transportation Commission, Mobility 21's advisory board members, and you, the members of Mobility 21. This year, our theme is Road to Recovery. It's been a challenging past 18 months since the pandemic began, and I know many of us had hoped a return to normal would already be here. But it's in times like these that opportunities arise to innovate, sharpen our skills, and demonstrate how we can overcome challenges. As each of us in our professional and personal lives journey down this road to recovery, let's remember one thing. Mobility 21 stands for one region, one voice, and one future. Together we are better, together we are stronger, and none of us are alone in the transportation community. California continues to be at the center of the national and global stage. When our coalition meets with our legislators in Sacramento and DC, we continue to hear Mobility 21 is an important coalition they pay close attention to. As California progresses in transportation, so does our nation. In the last 20 years, Mobility 21 has built a reputation and achieved credibility and relevance in our industry, and most importantly, with our top state and federal policymakers. Each of you have had a hand in this. Each time you participate with Mobility 21, our voice becomes stronger and people are listening. So let's do just that. Let's begin our participation at this summit. Let's be one voice and let's demonstrate all our knowledge and provide the best access and business opportunities that are possible for today and for tomorrow. From key elected officials to public and private sector experts, we will be featuring more than 60 speakers in our 3 general sessions and 8 breakout sessions. The discussions throughout the day will challenge each of us to find partnerships, solutions, and innovations to ensure California's continued leadership on the national and global stage. We would like to thank our sponsors, without whom this summit would not be possible. This year's titanium sponsor is Jacobs. This morning's opening session sponsors are Moffitt & Nickel and Parsons. Also, thank you to all of our other sponsors and supporting organizations. We truly appreciate all of your support. Before I introduce our first speaker, how about that intro video? Did you enjoy flying into our Honolulu setting and landing at our simulated Disney Aulani Resort? We have nearly 1,000 attendees with us at the summit, and I hope you are also dressed in your best resort gear and ready to enjoy our program at Disney's beautiful Hawaiian resort setting. And don't forget your summit bento box. Be sure to check out all of the customized items the Mobility 21 team and sponsors have brought to your door to help you follow along with the program and enjoy. To help you get oriented with our virtual summit, you can use your navigation bar at the top left of your screen to click and select the area of the summit you would like to experience. You can also use your mouse or touchpad to walk around, zoom in and zoom out, and go to different areas of the summit by walking through the doors with yellow arrow icons. And this year, we have a very cool new feature. Digital avatars of our board members and special guests have been placed throughout the virtual summit. I hope we can find all of them. If you have any trouble navigating or experience any technical issues, please click the tech support link in the top left navigation bar or go to our information registration booth in the lobby. Our team is ready to assist you at any time during the event. It is now my sincere pleasure to introduce the 2021 Chair of Mobility 21, CEO of the Orange County Transportation Authority, Mr. Daryl Johnson.
Good morning from OCTA. It is so good to see each of you today at this sold-out crowd of over 1,000 virtual participants. We are so pleased to convene so many of you at our Transportation Summit and at such a beautiful setting. We would have loved to have met in person at Disney, but we hope we brought you the next best thing with our virtual tropical setting so that we can continue to do business, advocate, educate, and make progress on this road to recovery. On that note, our theme this year, Road to Recovery, is exactly what we are all on together. We have learned that a return to normal was not to be last year, nor will it be this year. However, we are continuing to innovate and adapt so that we can continue to deliver transportation advocacy, solutions, and services to the Southern California region. As this year's Mobility 21 chairman, I've had the honor of working with my fellow board members across Southern California to overcome the continuing and unprecedented challenges of 2021. As we adapt to living and doing business with COVID-19 and the Delta variant, and deliver transportation projects and services, we are all in this together on a road to recovery. I urge each of you to take the time to hear from our 60+ speakers during today and tomorrow's breakout and general sessions. From state and federal transportation policy issues to port and supply chain disruptions, figuring out how to get carbon neutrality by 2045, not to mention employee work from home, return to office transitions, we are going to cover a lot of ground. I'm also looking forward to seeing you during the networking time in our hospitality suite, along with my fellow board members and leadership from across Southern California. So please don't miss out. I'm looking forward to seeing and hearing from each of you. And again, thank you so much for being part of Mobility 21.
Thank you, Chair Johnson, for helping lead the great coalition of Mobility 21 over this past year. I am so pleased to now introduce Chair of the Orange County Transportation Authority and Supervisor of the County of Orange, 1st District, Andrew Doe.
It is my pleasure to welcome you to this year's Mobility 21 Annual Southern California Transportation Summit. While it is unfortunate that we're not able to meet in person again this year, I am excited that we are able to come together virtually over the next 2 days. Thank you to Mobility 21 for continuing to be flexible and putting together an amazing program. The past year and a half has been challenging for a lot of us, both personally and professionally. But we have risen to those challenges and we're able to keep Southern California moving while continuing to make improvements to our regional transportation network. You should all be tremendously proud of everything you have accomplished. The next 2 days will be a great opportunity to discuss how we have been able to overcome the challenges brought on by the pandemic, share lessons learned, and travel even further on our road to recovery. At OCTA, we have already seen many positive signs of recovery. Our economy and sales tax revenues are rebounding, bus ridership is increasing, and we are returning to some form of normalcy, with employees back in the office and some meetings occurring in person again. With that being said, we do anticipate this recovery to take time. OCTA's bus ridership is still down 40% compared to what it was before the pandemic. And our early Measure M forecast estimates show that the half-cent sales tax measure for transportation is expected to generate about $900 million less through 2041 compared to our 2019 forecast. We also anticipate transportation needs to change as more companies continue to embrace remote work and flexible work schedules. I don't expect the future to look like what it did prior to 2020, but I'm confident that working together, we can further advance Mobility 21's mission of improving mobility throughout the entire Southern California region. I hope you all take advantage of this summit to share your experiences and take away new information and ideas that will help us improve the way people move throughout our communities. Thank you and enjoy the summit.
Thank you, Chair Doe, and thank you, OCTA, for helping lead our region. Now I'd like to welcome Judy Johnson, Vice President at Jacobs, our underwriting sponsor for 2021. Thank you, and please help me welcome Judy Johnson.
What does the road to recovery feel like for you? As I've thought about the theme for this year's summit, the word recovery has taken on a whole new meaning for me. We've recovered in the past from natural disasters like earthquakes, downturns in the economy, moments of heightened political discourse, race, and social issues, but never have we dealt with all of those things during a worldwide pandemic. And never have we ever been tested like this, physically, emotionally, and mentally. But we've also never had as much in common with each and every one of us. This common ground we share is the foundation of the theme of this year's summit. So jump in, join the conversation today and tomorrow, and let's all work together on our path forward.
We're proud to be this year's Titanium sponsor. For the past year and a half, we've moved projects forward, focused on equity, and invested in our future workforce. We're on the road to recovery, and we're in this together.
I don't think that a person should be limited to what opportunities they have just based on their zip code or where they're living.
Our road to recovery, we're bringing in new tools that are going to allow us to integrate equity into our transportation design and planning process.
I think what's really important to me is that we really come up with equity-based solutions that respect the distinct character and culture of communities that we touch.
Within the next 5 years, I really hope that underrepresented communities have more accessibility to places that will give them opportunities.
CEDA is about partnership, it's about people coming together, and I think at the core, it's about the leaders in Los Angeles believing in children and wanting to partner with families.
Let's find more ways to put our ideas into action. Enjoy the summit, everyone.
Thank you, Jacobs, for being such a steadfast partner to Mobility 21 and for being our underwriting sponsor, even in 2021 while we are virtual. Please let's honor and thank Jacobs. I am so pleased to now introduce the chair of the Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transportation Authority and supervisor for the County of Los Angeles 1st District, Hilda Solis.
Before the pandemic, LA Metro served over 1.2 million bus and rail riders every day. That number dropped to just 500,000 last year, and we still haven't totally recovered. LA Metro will be working to restore our ridership to pre-pandemic levels for the next few years. And at the same time that LA Metro is working to bring back riders to our system, our economy is just barely reopening following months of shutdown. During the pandemic, we lost more than 400,000 jobs and saw 7,500 small businesses permanently close as a result of the public health orders. And on top of that all of this happened in the midst of a severe housing and homelessness crisis. In 2019, we saw 150 people becoming homeless every day based on that year's homeless count. That number is likely worse now. And it goes without saying that we have immense challenges ahead of us, but I know that we are already prepared to meet the moment and tackle these challenges together. This is our chance to be innovative about how we approach and solve problems. And it is our opportunity to reimagine our future and how we move people from point A to point B. We have already embarked on reimagining transportation at LA Metro. And during my chairmanship, I will be partnering with our new CEO, Stephanie Wiggins, to make LA Metro better. Being better means that we will be focused on bringing equitable transportation to every resident. As a public agency, we can always do a better job of serving our constituents with equity in mind. And doing better starts with asking a very simple question. What can we do to give help to those that need it the most? At LA Metro, we are already working on answering that question. And we will improve and expand public transit service, especially for bus riders in Los Angeles County who make just $18,000 a year. And we'll provide more affordable housing for transit riders near major transit stations to activate our rail corridors and better serve our Black and brown communities. And we will increase contracting opportunities for small businesses and expand programs like LA Metro's Eat, Shop, Play to support those that need it the most. And we'll work with our communities to create new visions for highway projects that do not worsen pollution or displace people from their homes. We will use federal relief dollars provided through the American Rescue Plan to support those most impacted by the pandemic. That is our road to recovery, and it is our vision for how we can best help our residents in their time of need. But we can't accomplish these goals alone. We'll need your partnership to help our economy thrive and to improve connections between our communities, jobs, schools, and other destinations. And I hope that this summit offers us all a chance to exchange ideas and collaborate on improving transportation in Southern California. Thank you again so much for having me here today, and I look forward to working with each and every one of you on our road to recovery.
Thank you, Supervisor Solis. And now for a quick video from the Auto Club of Southern California, proud Mobility 21 board member and sponsor.
Founded in 1900 by a group of hobbyists, the Auto Club soon adopted a mission of service to the motoring public. In 1906, we created the first highway signs in the region. Soon, we were also offering our famous maps and tour books. By 1930, the familiar folded maps could be found in glove boxes across the western United States. So could our magazine, Touring Topics, which changed its name to Westways in 1934. Our affiliated insurance company began in 1912 to break price fixing in the industry and continues to provide affordable insurance for members. The Automotive Research Center runs performance and safety tests, providing important consumer information on emissions, green cars, and autonomous vehicles. Safety education has always been a key focus too, from school programs to our educational films to the posters that appeared in classrooms across the Southland. That mission continues today, with teen driver fairs, senior mobility classes, and distracted and impaired driving public awareness campaigns. Established in 1924, our roadside assistance program has probably done more than anything else to help our members and keep Southern California moving. We've gone from the 10 original members to more than 7 million. And each day we respond to 16,000 roadside assistance calls, welcome 18,000 members into our branch offices, and process nearly 2,000 insurance claims. While roads have changed, vehicles have changed, and drivers have changed, the Auto Club remains an indispensable part of mobility in Southern California.
We are truly honored to feature an amazing lineup of speakers from our state leadership. In 2018, Brian Kelly was selected to lead the California High-Speed Rail Authority as CEO. He comes to the authority with a wealth of experience in transportation. Brian served as the first secretary of the new California State Transportation Agency, or CalSTA, an agency created in 2013 which focused solely on transportation. At CalSTA, he oversaw 8 departments, boards, and commissions, 38,000 employees, and a budget of $18.1 billion, one of the largest portfolios in the state of California. Please help me welcome CEO Kelly.
Hello, Mobility 21. I'm Brian Kelly, the Chief Executive Officer of the California High-Speed Rail Authority. I certainly wish we could all be together in person, but I'll take whatever I can get to work with you all and talk to you all about transportation in California. At the High-Speed Rail Authority, we got a lot of exciting things going on. We're constructing 119 miles of the nation's first truly high-speed rail project. And we got more than 1,100 men and women working on that project every day. With the approval of our most recent environmental document into Palmdale, our first stretch into LA County, we've now approved 300 of the 500-mile segment between San Francisco and Los Angeles. This project is advancing, and we're awfully proud of that. And the timing couldn't be better, as our federal partners are working to make historic investments in clean transportation nationally, and no state is better prepared to take advantage of that than California. We're doing big things around the state, including in the Bay Area and down in Southern California. We're partnering with you all on improving and building a new LA Union Station. We're doing work on important safety projects like the Rosecrans-Marquardt grade separation, and we're working with all of our partners down there to improve the BNSF corridor between Orange County and Los Angeles so that we can expand passenger rail, both commuter rail and electrified high-speed rail service in that region. So there's a lot of great work going on, and there's not a better time to do it. California is well positioned to advance clean transportation projects in this state, and our federal partner is looking to help us get it done. So I look forward to working with all of you as we advance transportation in California. Hopefully soon we can see each other in person. And again, I appreciate the opportunity to be here, talk to you, and I hope that you all have a great conference. So thanks, and look forward to working with you soon.
Our next speaker, Tokes Omishakin, was appointed 33rd Director of the California Department of Transportation by Governor Gavin Newsom in 2019. He manages a $15 billion budget and nearly 21,000 employees who oversee 50,000 lane miles of highways, maintain 13,000 bridges, provide permitting of more than 400 public use airports, fund 3 of Amtrak's busiest intercity rail services, and provide transit support to more than 200 local and regional transit agencies. Tokes' transportation vision for California includes a safe, sustainable, and multimodal transportation system that builds on strong local partnerships. Please welcome Director Omishakin.
Thank you for having me here today to share a brief update about Caltrans. Though Caltrans' work is multifaceted and our efforts extend in many different directions, I can easily summarize in one word what our department's purpose comes down to today. People. Every aspect of what we do is developed around the potential or anticipated effects of results that are related to people. It is critical that we disrupt what did not work in the past and consistently apply that knowledge to bettering the future for all people in our state. Without change, there's no growth. And without growth, there's no change. The past year has been heavy, bringing with it especially high number of difficult headlines and strong indicators that change is long overdue. And at Caltrans, we're listening and we're responding through our work. So again, we can't overstate, it's all about people. And keeping people at the forefront of our efforts, everything we do is built out of our 3 foundational principles: equity, climate action, and safety. With equity, not all privileges nor all burdens have been distributed equitably. Those who are underserved and overlooked require and deserve our immediate and ongoing inclusion. We need to initiate conversations and proactively involve all communities in our decision-making process. Our 3 specialized internal programs lead the way in our equity efforts at Caltrans. The Caltrans Office of Race and Equity, also known as CORE, the Office of Civil Rights, and our Equal Employment Opportunity Office. And when it comes to climate action, not only are we experiencing rising tides, but also rising temperatures. That, along with wildfires, has led us to reaffirm our commitment to climate action. Climate change poses great risk to our communities and infrastructure. Approximately 40% of the GHG in California comes from our vehicles. We have a responsibility to contribute to GHG reductions and help curtail this problem. And when it comes to safety, we are unwavering in our continued commitment and prioritization of safety for our public and our workforce. We must use engineering, education, and equitable enforcement to do better and drive the current numbers down. A single death is one too many. there's been an alarming increase in pedestrian deaths over the past decade. Federal, state, and local departments of transportation, we know, play a critical role in improving active transportation safety and have a responsibility to ensure the safety of all roadway users. Caltrans's 3 foundational principles are not simply concepts. They have evolved into tangible action at Caltrans. We released these documents earlier this year, the Strategic Plan 2020 to 2024 and CTP 2050. The Strategic Plan is specific to Caltrans's role in leading the transportation sector in California through 2024. It's a declaration of our vision, mission, core values, and our goals to deliver a world-class transportation system for the state. At the top of our goal list is safety first. The goals are balanced out with coordinated strategies to achieve success in the critical areas of equity, livability, climate action, multimodal transportation network, stewardship and efficiency, and cultivating excellence. On the other hand, CTP 2050 is our visionary long-range transportation plan to achieve state mobility, accessibility, and climate goals. It presents an ambitious vision, unconstrained by current policies and budgets, and aims to reduce transportation-related GHG, free millions from auto dependency, advance transportation equity, and improve the quality of life for all Californians. Also, we're committed to delivering on efficiencies from SB1, and I'm pleased with our project delivery performance as well. In the 2020 calendar year, 430 projects were delivered to construction, amounting to nearly $2.4 billion. Considering the stay-at-home order and public shutdown resulting from a global pandemic, it is remarkable that there were only 29 fewer projects delivered during the entire 2020 calendar year in comparison to 2019. So that's a little bit of an overview as to what we've been doing at Caltrans and a look into the future as well. Thank you for the opportunity to be here again this year. I'm glad to be a part of the summit and hear about the important work Mobility 21 and its partners are doing. Our partnerships with organizations such as yours are a great value to us, and more importantly, of benefit to all Californians. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Omishakin, for your vision and leadership. I'd like to next introduce Secretary of the California State Transportation Agency, CalSTA, David Kim. Secretary Kim was appointed to this role in 2019 and since then has overseen 40,000 employees across 8 departments, boards, and commissions, whose mission is to advance a safe, environmentally sustainable transportation system that maximizes mobility for all Californians. A longtime leader in transportation, Secretary Kim has served as Vice President of Government Affairs at Hyundai Motor Company. He has also spent nearly 8 years in senior roles in the U.S. Department of Transportation and served as Deputy Administrator of the Federal Highway Administration. Please help me welcome Secretary David Kim.
Aloha, I'm David Kim, Secretary of the California State Transportation Agency. I'm actually not in Hawaii right now, but it is so great to join all of you virtually for Mobility 21's 20th annual Southern California Transportation Summit. This is the 3rd year in a row I've had the great honor of speaking at the summit, and I have to say Mobility 21 always does an incredible job putting on a memorable and unique event. So a big mahalo to Jenny, Kristen, and the entire Mobility 21 team for another fun and informative experience. You know, I really like the theme of this year's conference, Road to Recovery. It perfectly captures where we are today. These past 18 months have clearly tested the entire transportation sector with unprecedented challenges. But there is a renewed focus at the state and federal level on pursuing economic recovery that's powered by historic investments in transportation. Governor Newsom has said on many occasions that we cannot simply go back to the way things were, and that's especially true when it comes to transportation. And that's why the governor proposed an $11 billion transportation package as part of his California Comeback Plan the largest economic recovery package in state history. The transportation plan proposes massive investments to expand transit, build more biking and walking infrastructure, maintain progress on the nation's first electrified high-speed rail segment, and accelerate much-needed safety upgrades, including grade separation projects. This is going to create thousands of quality jobs, reduce our dependence on fossil fuels, improve safety and access, and complete major transit projects in advance of the 2028 LA Olympics. And of course, we continue to relentlessly focus on fix-it-first projects on state highways, bridges, and local streets, the bedrock principle of SB 1. Now, at the time of this recording, budget negotiations with the legislature are still ongoing, but I am optimistic about the prospects for legislative approval and the chance for all of us to truly transform the way people move around California for generations to come. I'm also excited to see recent movement on Capitol Hill with surface transportation reauthorization and the bipartisan infrastructure package. Not only will these efforts greatly increase federal funding, they also tackle important policy areas like climate action and resilience, deployment of zero-emission vehicles, equity, and multimodal investment. All of these priorities resonate with California because we've been leading the way in these areas for years. In fact, we actively engaged with the California congressional delegation to make sure our priorities were included, and they were. So it's a really exciting time for all of us in transportation. We're talking about once-in-a-generation investments that get the policy right at the state and federal level, and I know we're going to work closely together to make sure these efforts cross the finish line. Because as someone who's been fortunate to work at all levels of government, plus the private sector, I know from personal experience that opportunities to pass transformative legislation are extremely rare. So let's make sure to take advantage of this unique moment. And at the same time, all of us are heavily focused on greater investment at the federal and state level. We just put the finishing touches on our Climate Action Plan for Transportation Infrastructure, or CAPTI, as we call it. This is a high-level framework that calls on taking a different approach when it comes to investing our discretionary transportation dollars. And the goal is to deliver a sustainable transportation system that is cleaner, more equitable, and more resilient to the impacts of climate change. CAPTI is the document that implements the governor's executive orders on climate change that call on us to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in transportation. The bottom line is that we in transportation need to be part of the solution and do even more to help meet the state's ambitious climate goals. And there is no time to waste. We need to use every tool to make it happen. That means more investments in zero-emission transit, freight, and rail, as well as projects that expand safe access to walking and biking. These are the kinds of things that will help reduce our dependence on driving, and very importantly, we will build healthy communities, especially in low-income neighborhoods of color that often bear the brunt of pollution and have limited access to affordable mobility options. And I think we're all aware that transportation planning has traditionally placed a higher priority on the movement of vehicles over the movement of people. This has exacerbated inequities everywhere, and CAPTI is all about changing that paradigm. Because quite frankly, if we keep investing our limited transportation resources the same way we've always invested them, the outcomes will be the same. More congestion, more angst, more lost productivity, and limited mobility options. And I really believe the times we're living in call on us to think differently, act differently, and choose our transportation investments differently than the way we've done it in the past. I also want to emphasize that our commitment to a fix-it-first approach, as SB 1 directs us to do, will not change. Maintaining state of good repair of our highways, roads, and bridges is of the utmost importance, and that will continue. But I also want to say this. If we are going to truly live up to the vision of a fix-it-first approach, if we're serious about fix-it-first, we need to be more thoughtful when it comes to expanding the system. We need to make sure transportation systems are designed and delivered in a way that will provide equitable and safe access to opportunity, especially for people of color and disadvantaged communities. And we're going to be part of the solution. So, looking at the big picture of everything I've touched on, there is tremendous policy synergy between CAPTI and increased transportation funding being advanced at the state and federal levels. They're all related and interconnected, and when you add it all up, I believe California is very well positioned to receive a massive infusion of federal resources, leverage them with our own funds, and make historic investments that will truly transform our system and drive economic recovery. Whether it's transit and rail, roads and bridges, safety improvements, pedestrian and bike infrastructure, and climate-friendly investments that advance equity, Californians will be the winner along with the economy and environment. Now that is a road to recovery all of us can embrace. Thank you again to Mobility 21. Congratulations on the 20th anniversary of this very important annual gathering, and I hope all of you enjoy the many sessions and speakers to come. Thanks again, and aloha.
Our next speaker first began her journey as a community leader, small business owner, mayor, city council member, and in 2016 was elected to the Assembly. Since then, she has become a prominent voice in the transportation world and now chairs the California State Assembly Committee on Transportation. Please help me welcome the Honorable Laura Friedman.
Hello, and welcome to the 2021 Mobility 21 Southern California Transportation Summit. I'm Assemblymember Laura Friedman, Chair of the Assembly Transportation Committee, and it's a pleasure to be here with you today virtually. Without a doubt, the past 18 months have been challenging for all of us. The pandemic has totally upended each and every one of our lives, and it's impacted nearly every sector of our state. But as difficult as it's been, it's brought a new perspective forward, and we can now see that we're facing some incredible opportunities in the months ahead. Coming out of the pandemic, we have a chance to truly move California forward in every way. But this is especially true for the transportation sector. This year, we've made significant investments in our transportation infrastructure at the state level, and with the potential for federal dollars on the horizon, we're ready to completely reimagine how people move around California. From record funding for transit to helping providers through the pandemic and to recover as our economy rebounds, to new funding for active transportation, clean vehicles, and state and local adaptation programs, California is setting the pace for innovation across the nation. I firmly believe that as we move forward, our focus should be on sustainability. All of us here today know the statistics. Our transportation sector accounts for about 40% of the state's greenhouse gas emissions. While we've set a lot of ambitious goals to combat this problem, and electric vehicles are an important part of reducing that emissions, ultimately, we need urban planning that encourages biking, walking, and transit use, and we need investments in all of that. I see that our greatest challenges are interconnected and intertwined with transportation policies. Whether it's housing, sustainability, all of that has a nexus to transportation. If we're really to improve the lives of all Californians, move our economy into the future, and make headway in the fight against climate change, we need to prioritize strategies to reduce vehicle miles traveled, to reduce our reliance on single occupancy vehicles by incentivizing other modes of transportation, smarter modes of transportation, and investing in public transit and active transportation options, because as we grow, having everyone move around in single occupancy cars is just not going to work. Like many of you here today, I see transportation issues through the lens of the local perspective, and I'm committed to emphasizing local transportation issues across the state, especially the projects driven by localities that focus on safety, connectivity, and multimodal access. This past year, we saw a real-life example of the benefit of these policies. During the height of the pandemic, due to stay-at-home orders, vehicle miles traveled rapidly decreased at the onset of the pandemic, when we all had to stay home. As a result, we saw a significant reduction in air pollution and noise, which our residents noticed. Today, despite the fact that a significant portion of our workforce continues to work remotely, our vehicle miles traveled are back up to pre-pandemic levels, as is air pollution, traffic congestion, and all of the detriments that come with heavy road usage. The choices we make in our transportation planning priorities and funding can have a significant impact on our vehicle miles traveled, and in turn, on the air we breathe and the quality of life and health for millions of our residents. In order to help achieve these goals, I championed increased funding through the budget to help MPOs achieve their sustainable community strategies. This funding will provide additional planning and implementation grants to regional entities for infill developers targeted towards the state's climate goals and reducing vehicle miles traveled. I encourage strong action by local governments to exercise the authorities granted to them to control land use decisions, to make transit more convenient, and to more closely connect housing to jobs and other amenities so that everybody is within a 15-minute walk or transit ride from everywhere that they need to go: doctor's offices, daycares, schools, businesses, shops, and restaurants. Those local decisions have huge statewide and even international impacts in terms of air quality and pollution and everything else. I see local innovation and collaboration as the primary way to improve California's transportation system, from Modoc County to Imperial County, from bicycle highways to congestion relief. Today in Los Angeles, less than 5% of our residents take transit, and less than 1% commute via bike. The County of Los Angeles has dedicated 101 square miles to parking, which is greater than the surface areas of Glendale, Burbank, Pasadena, Van Nuys, Northridge, and Encino combined. That's a bad use of land. We clearly have a lot of work to do to make active transportation and transit a seamless part of everyday Angelina's life. To get there, we need to take a more collaborative and holistic approach to community planning, to think about using land smarter to make transit work and to reduce sprawl, to make areas that are really walkable and bikeable. And that means that we can't continue to have giant swaths of our land devoted just to parking cars. Earlier this year, I introduced AB 1147, which will build upon SB 375, an old piece of legislation by Darrell Steinberg, by promoting smarter land use policies that encourage biking, walking, and transit use. I also introduced AB 1401, which will require cities to remove those onerous parking minimums near our key transit stops. When we prioritize planning to focus more on housing people and connecting them with quality transportation options over constantly devoting real estate and focus on cars, we build more sustainable, more livable communities for all of us. Of course, if we're talking about transportation and community planning, safety has got to be part of the equation. Traffic safety and reducing traffic fatalities at the local level remains a top priority for me, and I know for a lot of you. That's why I introduced AB 43 to reform the arcane ways that California sets its speed limits. I'm proud to be working with cities and many of you here today to set our speed limits taking safety into account, not just outdated modes for moving cars more quickly. That's just a small portion of what we've been able to achieve in Sacramento with your help, and also a bit of a roadmap for what I'm thinking lies ahead. Today's summit is a gathering of some of the best minds in transportation, and I look forward to hearing from all of you on your recommendations on being able to work collaboratively with you towards a cleaner and better connected future for all of California. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for being great partners.
Thank you, Chair Friedman. Our next distinguished guest speaker from the state legislature is former educator, nonprofit executive director, environmental activist, Los Angeles native, and the 70th Speaker of the Assembly, appointed in 2016, the Honorable Anthony Rendon.
Thank you, Doug, for that introduction. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this amazing transportation summit, Mobility 21 in 2021. We're here to talk about transportation in the 21st century, and I'm glad to take part in this conversation. It is a conversation that continues to evolve, just as we have seen California's response to COVID evolve. A lot has changed since I spoke to you last year. Our actions to deal with COVID are much clearer and much stronger now than they were a year ago. I'm hopeful that bold action on COVID will make more space for public discussion and action on the transportation challenges that we all face. Already we know that there will be some important changes in the upcoming year, and those changes have something to do with COVID. Because the pandemic had dire effects on many sections of the economy, our federal government has moved to put people back to work. One of the major ways we will do that is federal infrastructure funding. That will give us many opportunities for progress on the transportation front. Some of those opportunities will become clearer in the coming months, perhaps even in the short time between when I record this message and when you hear it. It will take wise decision-making to get maximum benefit for California out of this infrastructure spending. Our California transportation system is critical to nearly everything we do, moving people and goods to where they need to go. We know, however, that transportation in the past has also been a major part of climate change. That crisis is dire and getting worse. So we face the challenge of being smart in how we use those dollars. A lot is for roads and bridges. When we passed SB 1, we wanted that money to help reduce pollution. Among other things, it helped our roads move people more efficiently with less fuel expenditure. Funding for advancing mass transportation and electric vehicles will also be important parts of our plan. All of this will require cooperation with key partners. The state must work with federal funders, of course. We also have to balance interests with the needs of many sectors. Those include local and regional governments, the plans of transportation agencies and organizations like Mobility 21, and the buy-in of manufacturers, contractors, labor organizations, and new technology businesses. Last year, we were talking about diminished resources because of the big revenue drops we saw early in 2020. That's not the case in 2021, but we will still need to be especially conscious of how we are using funding. I continue to be an advocate for any immediate benefits the high-speed rail project can deliver. The quicker it can connect to a major population center and provide relief from traffic congestion, the better. That relief is in dire need. We need to build a constituency for rail to make high-speed rail successful in the future. I am looking forward to the ideas that come out of these 2 days of meetings and from other ongoing discussions. I'm also optimistic about where we're going and want to thank you for your part in it. Thanks again, Mobility 21, for allowing me to take part in your meeting.
Our next speaker was first elected to the state Senate to represent the 33rd District in a special election in June of 2019 and was subsequently re-elected in the November 2020 general election for her first full 4-year term. As state senator, she represents nearly 1 million residents in southeast Los Angeles, Signal Hill, portions of South Los Angeles and Lakewood, and her hometown of Long Beach. In the Senate, Senator Lina Gonzalez is a strong voice for working families, advocating to improve working conditions and lifting up the voices of all workers. Please help me welcome Chair of the California State Senate Committee on Transportation, Lina Gonzalez.
Hi everyone, this is State Senator Lina Gonzalez. Welcome to the Mobility 21 Summit. I'm happy to be with you virtually this year. Though I'll be happier to see you all in person next year, I just wanted to let you know that I'm just happy to be with you in some format nonetheless. I'm pre-recording this before the end of the legislative session, so things can change, but at this very moment, I think there's a lot to be grateful for, and I look forward to sharing that with you. While I wasn't with you last year, I do know that for many of us, 2020 was a very challenging year, and specifically for the Mobility Summit, because we didn't know what the risks and uncertainties were in the transportation sector. Since then, the picture has obviously gotten a lot brighter, including, surprisingly and thankfully, our state budget. This has allowed us to take a lot of actions to support transportation and help the industry recover from a really tough 2020, providing billions of dollars of investment, temporarily relaxing some of the fiscal constraints on transit agencies and local governments, and making the transportation system more sustainable and, more importantly, more equitable. I want to spend a few moments to talk about the new funding because it is really extraordinary. The headline is an additional $500 million for active transportation projects. That's on top of $200 million in annual funding for active transportation overall, so it's a huge boost. We also recognize the growing problem of litter and trash accumulating along our highways. So there's $1 billion in new spending on a Clean California initiative for highway cleanup and beautification, which includes $300 million for local beautification projects. Transportation sustainability is, of course, a mega issue, and we provided substantial new funding for that purpose. To start with $150 million, it was set aside for local agencies for road projects to adapt to climate change. We also provided $2.5 billion for new local transit projects for which the details have yet to be worked out. And there's also several billions of dollars for new funding for zero-emission cars, trucks, buses, and charging infrastructure, with an emphasis on making sure this is done equitably. So as you can see, transportation programs did really well in this year's budget, and I'm so proud as Chair of Transportation in the Senate. But despite these windfalls, there's still so much work to do. The first order of business is to make sure that this new funding is actually spent effectively. So we'll carefully oversee the work of Caltrans and the California Transportation Commission. I think an even more challenging and immediate problem is attracting riders back to transit systems. The stakes are very high, of course, and there's no possible way to meet our greenhouse gas emission reduction goals or to reduce congestion without having more people to choose to take transit rather than driving. And transit customers who are often lower income people and residents just getting to their commutes from A to B and taking their kids and going to work, what have you. They deserve a convenient, clean, safe, and reliable transit system. Our other big issue is adapting to our transportation infrastructure to the physical threats of climate change. Sea level rise and extreme weather pose massive threats to our roads and bridges. Of course, it's hard to plan for those threats until they actually happen, but by then it's too late, so we've got to do the planning now. We need to start thinking seriously about how we'll manage those threats. So to sum up, start thinking seriously about how we want to tackle these challenges together, making our transportation system better to enable more people to get on transit, to make it equitable and environmentally friendly, is everything that we can discuss today and for future years to come. I can't think of a better forum of considering these issues than today and tomorrow during this conference. You all have a big role to play in this, and we thank you for that. And I look forward to working with every single one of you to ensure that we tackle these issues head on together. Thank you so much and enjoy the conference.
Senate President Pro Tempore Tony G. Atkins represents the 39th Senate District, which includes San Diego, Coronado, Del Mar, and Solana Beach, and parts of unincorporated Rancho Santa Fe. Atkins was born and raised in southwestern Virginia, the daughter of a miner and a seamstress, and graduated with a bachelor's degree in political science from Emory and Henry College in Virginia. From her 8-year tenure on the San Diego City Council to her years in the legislature, Senator Atkins has dedicated her career to serving as a champion for affordable housing, the environment, health care, veterans, women, and the LGBTQ community. Please help me welcome President Pro Tem of the California State Senate, Tony Atkins.
Thank you for including me in this year's Mobility 21 Southern California Transportation Summit. Coming from San Diego, I have to say this summit is like Comic-Con, except the heroes here are transporters, not transformers. And honestly, that's appropriate because transportation plays a central role in our everyday lives. It's the lifeblood of our state. It's the roads that connect us to family nearby and the planes that bring us to family far away. The buses and trains that ensure everyone has an affordable, reliable way to get to and from work on time. The ports that ship and receive goods from around the world. I have to give a shout out to the incredible Port of San Diego in my district, which creates over 23,000 jobs and has an $8.3 billion impact on our region. Just like the arteries and capillaries in our bodies, each part of the system, no matter how small, is interconnected and vital to keeping things flowing. And that's why continuing to invest in transportation is key to California's future. The Lausan Rail Corridor is a great example. Stretching over 351 miles in Southern California, transporting millions of travelers and carrying over $1 billion in goods and services each year, it is integral to our region. In my district, the rail is at risk due to coastal erosion and sea level rise occurring at the Del Mar Bluffs. The state, the San Diego Association of Governments, and North County Transit are working with the Coastal Commission to protect this important part of our community. 2 years ago, I advocated for $6 million in the state budget to support these efforts, and I'm pleased that the working group convened by the State Transportation Agency has identified $100 million to safeguard this vital transit corridor. The reality is that we are seeing climate change and sea level rise create similar damage across the state. And that's why the taxpayer-approved funds made available by 2017's SB 1 are so critical. In the 4 years since, we've checked off more than 2,500 projects and created more than 181,000 high-wage jobs. We've been able to improve our freeways and make emergency repairs that have been caused or worsened by climate change. Case in point, like when a stretch of Highway 1 near Big Sur was swept out to sea earlier this year. 40 million Californians, visitors from around the world, and thousands of businesses rely on our roads, our trains, and our ports. We have to keep them operating smoothly, which is why the Senate is committed to investing in infrastructure. From funds for adaptation planning and projects to inner-city and regional rail connectivity, road maintenance and safety projects, and zero-emission vehicles and the infrastructure we need to move in that direction. It's also why we need to continue expanding infrastructure for folks to walk and bike safely. Active transportation can keep our communities moving while at the same time reducing emissions. My Senate colleagues and I are focused on creating transportation infrastructure that will take California into the future. Since 2002, Mobility 21 has kept this fundamental issue at the forefront of the conversation. Without you, we wouldn't have SB 1, and without SB 1, we wouldn't have the improvements we're seeing across the state. So thank you for your tireless dedication. Together, I know we can keep our progress on track to ensure our state's transportation infrastructure works for everyone.
What a fantastic way to kick off today's summit. Thank you to all of our amazing speakers this morning. Please head on over to the breakouts. Use your mouse to maneuver over to the breakout session room, or use the navigation bar at the top left of your screen and select breakout sessions. From there, you'll be able to view any of the 4 concurrent breakout sessions. You can also click on the upgraded expo hall, check out our exhibitors, locate our digital avatars, and don't forget to look for those Easter eggs for some amazing prizes. Also, when you're in the expo hall, please be sure to chat with the folks manning each virtual booth and exchange virtual business cards with your fellow attendees. From 11 a.m. until noon, you will have access to exclusive FaceTime with all of our regional executives in the hospitality suite by entering special virtual kiosks. Now, this will only be open from 11 a.m. until 12 p.m. Our public agency and private sector executives will be waiting to see you face to face and get reconnected. We'll see you back here in the main ballroom at 10:30 a.m. for our lunch and general session with City of Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti, United States Senator Alex Padilla, and many more distinguished speakers and award recipients. I also have a very special announcement. From 12 to 12:30 p.m., we will have a very special keynote speaker. Don't miss out on our discussion with Mike Rowe, best known as the creator and host of the iconic TV series Dirty Jobs. Mike is the country's leading advocate for the skilled trades, something we need now more than ever. Please don't miss out, and thank you all for being here.